Good evening, everybody. So, as you may have already realized, Somnath is the main speaker here. I'm just the starter appetizer, he's the main course. So because of that, he didn't come up the stage, I came up, my job is to spend some 10-15 minutes with you guys, etc. After that, he comes in and he goes deep into a lot of demos, etc., stuff like that. If due to internet related problems, the demos hang, then I'll come back again. So in the meantime, we'll get started. And let me also first check, how many of you heard the big announcement as of yesterday evening? The big one, right? The big one. Finally, it is there. GPT-5 is there. We did not have this in our deck, but when the announcement landed, we had to add it, right? There is like no other way. GPT-5 got launched yesterday, and it is instantaneously available on Azure also. So as you know, OpenAI is available only on Azure as Azure OpenAI, and we are happy to launch it in the beginning itself. Why is this so important? Because this is the first model which has a lot of capabilities in terms of reasoning. It keeps memory, it is multimodal. It can also flip between LLMs. So very important part is GPT-5 has GPT-5 reasoning, GPT-5 mini, GPT-5 nano, GPT-5 chat. Depending on your prompt, it will choose the model router, will choose which LLM to take to give your answer. Huge, big context window to handle all your large documents. So in short, an awesome model which is beating all the benchmarks, scoring 100 in many benchmarks. Sam Altman said it is like talking to a PhD researcher. And the best part, it is already available for those of you who are using tools like ChatGPT, M365 Copilot, Copilot Studio, Copilot Chat. It is already there. Please use it. It is going to revolutionize the world of software development. And Mr. Somnath will obviously talk to you about it. So after talking about GPT-5 and launch of GPT-5, this slide doesn't have too much meaning, right? Everybody knows AI is reshaping our world. But finally, we are sales guys, right? So we keep on showing the same slide again and again so you get completely ingrained about it, right? AI is reshaping your world. AI started to reshape our world, especially when we got multimodal. So moment all these models went multimodal, voice came in and text came in and images came in, and we were able to build chatbots and agents which were enterprise ready. And today we have a whole host of agents. You may have seen one statistics that worldwide already across vendors, 1.3 billion agents are available. Just imagine, there are 8 billion people in the world and already 1.3 billion agents who are almost like us, right? Some part of the work they do, right? So that is the rate at which AI is reshaping our world. But this was very different 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we had only OpenAI related models, few models, etc. We were able to build only chatbots and things like that. Today, we have a plethora of models, but this brings some challenges for you guys also. Which model to choose? Which model has better performance for which task? Because many benchmarks and performance are on specific data sets and on specific tasks. So which model you choose? Which model has what API? Which model has what type of tokenization? So all this becomes very tough for you to choose, but the best part is if you come to Azure, you get various benefits like a model comparison lab. You get 18,000 models in the same place. So you choose the right models. You have your entire Hugging Face models. You have all the OpenAI models. You have the Mistral models, Cohere models, everything you have, right? So we have made it very easy for developers like you to choose the right foundational model for your task. We also allow you to fine-tune the models, distill the models, whatever you may need. The business case for AI is a no-brainer. So for every $1 a company invests, the return on investment is 3.7x. This is proved. So everybody is now convinced that AI is reshaping the world. Everybody is now convinced that we need to get onto this and start using the LLM related models, etc., to build our chatbots, build single agents, build multi-agents, etc. AI-driven business transformation primarily falls across these 4 pillars. Enrich employee experiences. Your internal employees, how can you enrich their experiences? By giving them helpers, by giving them co-pilots, by giving them assistants. Can you save 45 minutes of an employee's time every week? That is a big thing, right? Because he doesn't have to do he or she doesn't have to do some mundane task, etc. Reinvent customer engagement. We always face a lot of customers, right? If there is an agent or a chatbot facing the customer, the agent doesn't get angry, right? The agent will never abuse the customer. The agent will never reply back. The agent will continue to do exactly what you have told that agent to do. But most importantly, and that is what we will be definitely speaking about now, LLM-based solutions, especially in the software development space, can bend the curve on innovation. You can do so much more, so much faster. You can completely crash down the time to market. You can completely reduce the time and resources to actually build applications. That this is going to be a big, big key. So agents are the new wave, right? 81% leaders are saying that they expect agents to be integrated into their company's AI strategy in the next 12 to 18 months. I have a problem with this slide. Can anybody guess? Huh? It is? Leaders. All of you are leaders only. No. Huh? No. My problem is, why is this 81%? Where are the rest of the 19%? Who are the 19% who still don't believe that agents are the way to go? I hope they are not in this room, right? Then we will have to have a separate type of discussion after this, right? So, although they are saying 81%, reality is 100%. 100% everybody is building agents. People started with chatbots, HR bot, legal bot, procure bot, software bot. Now everybody is building agent. People are building a HR onboarding agent. People are building a legal agent which will do everything. Entire workflow which will be autonomous, which will take decisions, which will have memory, which will store information, which will store your likes and dislikes and act in the same way. So this entire agent framework is changing how we interact with software, how we gain value from data. Those of you who are working with data know how difficult it is to talk to data. There's no way to talk to data, right? There's no English to talk to data. You need to know software coding, you need to know languages. Today, you can ask an agent in English to talk to your database, talk to your analytics tool, pull out the information, give it back to you. If you ask an agent based on GPT-5 to talk to a database and to bring out some information, not only will that agent talk to your data and your database, bring out the information, customize it as per your requirements, build a report, build a presentation, and also give you recommendations saying your revenue fell in this month because of probably this reason which it was able to correlate from some other field. That is the level where agents have already reached. So some of the very simple agent use cases, obviously things like IT help desk, employee self-service agent, sales order agents, project tracker agents, testing agents. A very good agent is an HR onboarding agent. All you need to is to tell the agent that Mr. So-and-so is joining on this date. The agent has the workflow. Agent will check, okay, this is the person. Do I have the details? Do I have the bank account to create the payroll? Once the payroll is done, do I raise the requisition of the laptop? Yes, laptop is there. What more does the person need? He needs the badge, he needs the welcome mail, he needs all the emails, he needs to start his training, onboarding. All the 6, 7, 8 steps agent will do. And these are things which are already live. But the place and what is very relevant for us for today's talk is the way agents are changing the way we write code. Software development has been evolving. Software development has been evolving. Initially, it was about one person writing a code. It was a deterministic, building features, testing, etc. Today, we are using agents to write the prompt. So as long as we give the right prompt, it will write the code. We are building more agents, and the agents do the evaluation of the software. So you don't have to build any testing software. You don't have to write any test code, etc. Today, already 46% of code is now written by AI. And it has improved developer productivity by 55%. Now, I am not a software developer. I have never done development. So for me, this statistics was a bit scary. So I was asking my friend here, what happens as these agents and these co-pilots keep on writing more and more code? What do the developers now do? And he had an awesome answer. He said that today's developer becomes a manager of developer agents. So a person who writes code now, tomorrow will have 20 agents under him or her writing the code, and your job will now be to check and oversee and human in the loop and all those things. So just imagine how much more we can do with that. What do the developers need? What do the developers need from all these various tools available? They need something which is very fast. They need something which understands your objectives. They need something which understands your specific, what you want to do, right, context. They need a tool which is easy to use. They need a tool which will help in not only writing the code, but also evaluating the code. We hear of a lot of technologies like pair programmer, peer programmer, etc. Somnath will be speaking about all of that. And the platform should be empowered with all the filters, all the content-related filters, all the safety filters, copyright filters, and should also be adhering to the principles of responsible AI. That's also very, very important. Now, sometimes people ask, but am I going to work with a co-pilot or I'm going to work with an agent? You're going to work with both. What is a co-pilot? Co-pilot is your assistant. Co-pilot is the individual's helper. What is an agent? Agent is an autonomous software which does things on its own, takes some types of decisions, acts, talks to other agents, etc. So you as a human being are going to have a co-pilot, and you are going to use agents and work with agents, and everything will get added to your human ambition and what you want to achieve. Any guesses what this is? Huh?
Servers.
Huh? What is it? What is it, Somnath?
These are developers.
So, I was trying to understand what this is. Then I realized this is, each dot is 1,000,000 developers on GitHub. And you can also see the density. It's very dense in India, very dense in West Coast, East Coast. You can see that, and not many developers in Siberia, right? So each dot is 1,000,000 developers on GitHub. Today GitHub has 150 million developers, and there are 50 million plus Visual Studio and Visual Studio users, Visual Studio Code users. Visual Studio Code remains one of the most popular software development tools because of all the benefits it has: enterprise ready, good integration with clouds, good integration with .NET, etc. And GitHub, of course you know, it is the home of open source. All open source at the end of the day lands up here. Not only that, in our last annual report, we said there are 20 million GitHub Copilot users now. So if there are 150 human developers, There are 20 million assistants helping them to develop more and build more and better and faster. So today we are landing up into a completely new era of software development, product development. And this all started when GitHub Copilot was launched in about 2021. For the first time, people found an assistant. And as the backend LLMs are improving, the GitHub Copilot itself is also improving. And today, when GPT-5 gets integrated, it will lead to a huge amount of enablement for everybody, productivity for everybody, and Somnath will show you some of the demos on this. I wanted to end here before I hand it over to Somnath. In 2023, Andrej Karpathy, who has become a little bit of a famous person on this, he invented the terms of generative AI-based software development. Now he has invented a new term called vibe coding, and Somnath will, if he has time in the evening, he will show you what vibing is all about. He said the hottest new programming language is English. It's not Java, right? So even somebody like me may be able to code, right? I don't know. Today we have launched something called GitHub Spark, exactly fulfilling that prophecy, where just by writing in English, you can get an application deployed, forget the code, right? And then we have spent a lot of time with a lot of our other tools like GitHub Spark, and there is always GitHub, the basic ones, the agents, etc. With that, I think the appetizer is done. Now all of you are ready for the main course.
Yeah.
I will hand it over to Somnath to take you through for the next 40-45 minutes. Very, very exciting stuff around GitHub, GitHub Copilot, and GitHub Spark. Over to you.
Thank you. Check. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Too much of agents and too much of AI, right? So tell me, frankly, in this day today, any session that you attended which does not have agents? Or all the sessions you have attended has agents, right? So yeah, so you have to just bear another 40 minutes for me. Anyways, we have traffic now. You will reach the home in another 3 hours when you start. So why not another 45 minutes to actually go through the agent side of it? So I see a quite young faces and at the same time quite experienced professionals here as well. But typically, how many of you have seen the sci-fi movie Matrix? So quite a few, yeah. So quite a few are far from my generation, my age. But the point which I'm trying to address is that was the sci-fi Matrix movie which had actually agents. Today we have agents. It is not still the same because that agent went ahead and destroyed. You might remember Agent Smith, right? That agent went ahead and kind of destroyed. We are building intelligent application via agents, and that's what you will see, right? And more so, how beautiful these models are and what it is for future. And in future, the future is not lesser jobs. I mean, if you think that these agents will reduce jobs, then that's not that conversation that we'll have, because we were also in an era where I typically seen computers, it did not reduce job anyways, right? With computers, it increased jobs. So that's where we will see agents, and we'll see how agents are helping human in their ways of working. A bit on the evolution of agents. Okay. So yeah, so let's look at the evolution side of it, right? We started back in 2021. GitHub Copilot was launched, right? All the way from then, we had workspace, we had chat, we also had edits, and today we are at a stage where we are having agent mode and at the same time having various agents. Coding agent is just one of them, right? Now, what are these agents eventually, right? So what are this generation what we are seeing? So these generations are divided into 3 kind of generation: generation 1, generation 2, and likewise the last generation, right? The first generation, human interacted with agents in the form of certain questions. So you say, when you are writing a code, while you are writing a code, the code gets completed automatically, right? That was the generation 1. Then generation 2 came with the chat mode, where human was asking the chat and the chat was doing something, right? For a long time we had chat mode with human interacting and integrating, and then later on, all of a sudden, beginning of this year, we started looking at agents, right? We had models which supported agents, and at the same time, we now see that human are collaborating with agent, which means at any point of time, you will see that it is a collaboration. It is not humans asking agent or agents doing something which is human. So it is more collaboration as we see. Now, while you see this, this is what we call as Agentic DevOps, and we will see an implementation of Agentic DevOps, what it looks like. What you are thinking is that, okay, Agentic DevOps, we are in phase 3, we are in generation 3, this is the end, right? Which is not, right? If we actually take a closer look, I want to scare you, right? We are somewhere in these phases, we are in phase 2. I mean, you might be a bit scared that, okay, now this is just the beginning, right? So how we are? So we have a huge, or we have very large roadmap, and we have very large vision, right? A long vision, I would say, right? So we are essentially in phase 2, where human is collaborating with agent, right? Having said that, we are looking at a future collaboration with not just human, at teams as well. For example, today a human is asking something to an agent, and a bunch of agents are doing the work. How about a team, right? Can a sprint team, can an agile team interact with agents and get the same work done at a team level, right? Can we do that, right? And the phase 4 is essentially AI first, which essentially means that I will have AI. It will typically start it. AI will, or agents will talk to different agents. It will interact, will delegate tasks to agents. Human is there for the approval part. So like Arun was mentioning, right, that we will see great managers, right? We will probably get away with the individual contributor role, obviously not from your independent organizations, from an overall aspect, and we will start looking at how a manager, so essentially it is not a different model, right? Earlier also a team's, I would say a team's success was how the manager is managing the team, right? Likewise, an individual success will be how you manage a bunch of agents, right? What you ask, what you expect, and how good you are interacting with that agent. We are probably not far when the agents will start rating us. Maybe we'll see that also, that agents, okay, this is not a good manager, it's a very bad manager, right? Something like that. Now, while we do that, what is there, right? For example, I would like to introduce you, there are certain agents that you have seen or you will see which helps in software development, okay? We are in phase 4, we will soon hit phase 4, but imagine a world where the agent kicks off things, right? You have a brainstorming agent, you also have a planning agent, then you have a coding agent which helps you draft the code, test the code as needed. From there you have a security agent which also helps in securing the code, detecting vulnerabilities, and subsequently we also have something like a SRE agent which helps the SREs to kind of autonomously identify applications, test applications on specific scenarios around the stability of those applications, and also give a feedback, right? So if we actually have to see how it works, right? This has possibly hanged. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so however agents we are talking about, this is still managed by human, right? So what you see is the whole workflow where a planning agent gets started, then a coding agent comes in, then a security agent, there is human approval in place, then the SRE agent is invoked. SRE agent looks at how the application is working, how best the application is kind of behaving, and then it goes back. If the application has issues, it goes back and talks to the coding agent, opens up an issue, brainstorms with the coding agent, and fix this application. This is currently in place, it is happening, and you will see that soon in the demos that we typically talk about, right? Now, while we do so, this is at a still individual level, right? Moving on to a broader set of a group, right? If this comes as a group, how will you see the group behaving? And this is exactly what we see. This slide is a bit hanging. Let me kind of move on. Yeah, though sorry for that. This slide is actually hanged, frozen. Let me try to, yeah, I think should be fine now. They're still hanging. Okay, so I'll quickly want to close it and restart the slide. Sorry for that. Somehow it is trying to connect to the internet, and probably because of the speed it is. Sorry for that. Yeah, so certain things we also need agents pretty much in everywhere, which is still not there. So now we have seen so many of, so we have got a lot of questions from our customers. You are doing good in generating code. Okay, how about the other aspects? So code is just 20% of the overall SDLC, right? Can we have agents also plan, agents also brainstorm? When the code is done, I mean, the more and more code generated, you will not expect a human to review that code, right? I mean, the human will say, okay, you are generating code, what is in there for me? See, when the code was written by human also, they were not reviewed by humans. Now we have code generated by AI, how we expect the code to be reviewed by humans, right? So that's where now we need a review agent, right? Now, okay, fine, review agent is there. How will you test, right? So much of code generated, so much functionality gets generated. By the way, GitHub Copilot is developed by GitHub Copilot. 28% of the code of the contribution is done by coding agent to generate GitHub Copilot. 18% of contribution is done by review agent to review the GitHub Copilot code. So now imagine so much of code generated. The functionalities are I mean, in the last 6 months, we have seen probably hundreds of tons of functionalities being given by in GitHub Copilot. So you need testing agent to test the application, integrate, and there are various tests that can be performed on the applications, right? Finally, the stability is important, and you need a SRE agent to stabilize the applications as well. So all of these are right now available for developers or human to use and leverage the agentic side of it, right? So Microsoft's AI developer platform, as you see, is what currently in this particular slide, right? Specifically around developer, right? If you want to plan something, start from the issues. Your issues can get created on github.com, right? Your planning agent plans these issues, figures out that what are the execution path, which execution path it should go, right? Then it hands over to the coding agent. That's typically the agent mode. It can be driven by the developer, where the developers write the code, or it can be driven by the coding agent, right? You also have Spark Workbench, which you will see as well. Review the code, test the code, secure the code using code quality agent. We now have a code quality agent. We have a actions agent. We also have Playwright as a MCP servers available as an agent, right? So all of these are currently available. And last, it is supported by the SRE agent, operated against the models. So the models are available, the metrics around the models, what metrics are. So you might be using models, right? The only challenge is, in the last 1 year or so, organizations have spent probably millions of dollars to compare and test models. GitHub with Microsoft support in GitHub Copilot, you can now compare and test models with no additional cost, right? Which means that you will now be in a position to get better informed around the flexibilities, the capabilities of these models. So that's the operate part and the policy and the governance side of it, right? Most importantly, responsible AI is where we look at, and anything to do with AI's responsibility, Microsoft and GitHub has been supporting with indemnity support. So any customers can, if there is a security breach, any customer can actually make or held Microsoft and GitHub responsible if the security breach is proven. So that's the assurance that we give to our customers. So let's deep dive. See, what you have seen is all GAN, right? You would have seen that, okay, even if it is Mercedes, you will still need to understand how good is this. Can it drive only in California road, or can it also drive in the Bangalore road, right? So let's see that. I have prepared a small demo for you, right, which probably tells you how Agentic DevOps is, what Agentic DevOps is, and how it actually helps developer in each and every steps of software development. Okay. So let's say as a developer, I would want to code, test, build applications, modernize applications, right? So now how would you do that, right? So let's take an example, okay, where AI is transforming and every step of the development is not taken care. So I want to code, I want to test, I want to modernize, and in this workflow, I have an exact sprint that I would like to do all of these, right? So now backlog has all of these. So let's start with a simple thing, adding a chat capability or a LLM chat capability, right? So now what you see in this particular website, when I'm asking a question, it gives a bunch of information which is not very readable format, right? Because it looks like it is retrieved from the database and sending information, right? So now how can I use GitHub Copilot to ensure that it is giving me the right information and a structured information? So Visual Studio Code, which is an open source, even Arun was mentioning about all of these, right? So now, if you see, you can actually select models right in Visual Studio Code, and this particular aspect of selecting, comparing models in Visual Studio Code is what has been changing the software industries with respect to the cost and the value that it is providing. It is not as much costly as you see where you leverage millions of dollars in testing models. You can test models right at the Visual Studio Code using the GitHub models, connecting to the OpenAI models, connecting to the GitHub models, right? You can validate the models, you can create an agent out of it, right? You can take the code from that agent, integrate that agent right in your IDE, go to GitHub Copilot agent mode, ask Copilot that I have an agent, I have a code from the agent which has been generated by OpenAI. Can you integrate that code with me? Copilot will integrate the code with your existing application. And all that I'm saying is existing application, not a new set of application that I want to generate. It will analyze the code. It will figure out that, okay, this is the place where I need to, it has the full context. It will add the code and boom, your code is ready. And now when you try to query, it will give you the structured information around it, right? So that's the beauty of your development side. Now, if you want to add unit test, and this is a bit crucial because we don't like to add unit test. I mean, when I was a developer, I never added unit test. I hated running unit test. You cannot, now you can get this to a coding agent. You can ask coding agent, write unit test for me. It will, you actually don't have to open the IDE at all, right? It will go to github.com. It will open up a pull request. It will tell you that this is the files that are being modified, this is the files that's changed, these are the key changes. It will change it for you. That's the agentic side of it, right? It will automatically try to analyze all the code, figure out where to add unit test, and add the unit test to it. It will also give you back to review. You put an approval, or you can ask it that, okay, this is something which is missing. Please go ahead and add additional comments, additional text, additional code. It will get all those things done, and in probably minutes, you will see the unit tests are also being created, it is executed, and good for you to be taken to a subsequent stages of your software development. Now, this is fine. I have done the unit testing side of it. Now, I want to integrate as a developer. I want to integrate with a Java application. I am a .NET developer, but I have to modernize the Java application. But I am a .NET developer. How do you do that? Again, we have agents around it. We call it as modernization agent. Okay, you can do a Java upgrade. You can do a Java modernization. You can do a Java upgrade from legacy code to a Azure tech stack, all you can do, right? Now, once you do this Java upgrade, it will also figure out that assess these applications, that what kind of applications are there. Once that applications are assessed, it will then tell you that, okay, give you the migration path. This is the migration path for this application, right? You can also want to add security. Let's say you are saying that, okay, I want to deploy it in Azure. Can you secure this application? It will also help you to deploy in Azure, but it will also make the code relevant for your Azure. So let's say you want to use more secured key vault kind of a model in Azure, it will make those changes for you. And finally, after all of this, it will deploy the application, right? Now, I mean, you might have heard about a lot about MCP servers. So MCP servers can be leveraged there. GitHub Copilot has full integration. MCP servers in GitHub Copilot and Visual Studio Code are currently GA. You can leverage MCP servers and get these also deployed. It will generate Terraform script. It will generate Ansible's code. It will also help you to connect to the MCP servers and send this application. So now if you see within minutes, I have modernized the code. I have sent the application. I have deployed the application. And now the aspect of monitoring comes in. Now this is very crucial. Any code that is deployed, okay, how do you monitor? How do you want an agent to monitor? So you might probably see that this application is not performing well. My agent has kind of figured it out. This agent now sees that, okay, in the application availability has dropped because of certain issues. It will automatically raise the issue on your coding agent. It will identify the root cause, and it also brings the pods or the servers down. It then goes back to my application and tells that, okay, this is the issue. My application will again go and the coding agent will again operate on it, and at the same time fix this issue, and the issue gets deployed, right? So that's the full flow agentic DevOps that you have, right? And this is currently in action. This is not a story that I'm talking about for the next 6 months or a year or so, right? Our customers are using this agentic DevOps workflow to deploy the applications faster, quicker, and more reliably, right? Having said, I know that this is still the start, and this is still not the North Star that we achieve, right? So I have to just, so on all of these, right, while you see that Copilot is in the mix of development, right? So Copilot is the center, it's omnipresent agentic layer. Now whether you plan, whether you code, whether you review, whether you test, all of these are driven by Copilot. You can collaborate, IDs are there. With these IDs, you can trigger Copilot. With these IDs, you can trigger test agents. With these IDs, you can operate, build, and deploy those applications. So this is the exact implementation of Agentic DevOps on Azure. If you look at Agentic DevOps on Azure, we have segregated into 3 different parts. First part is code, right? Again, Visual Studio, Arun mentioned that we have 50 million developers, 150 million developers on Visual Studio Code, 20 million developers on Copilot, right? That's exactly this part, the left-hand side, where you have agent mode, you have GitHub Copilot, you use Visual Studio Code to develop the application. Then you build and maintain, which is where you use the coding agent, which you've seen some time back, right? GitHub repos, coding agents, GitHub issues, all of this will help you to build and maintain the application. Lastly, we also want to modernize the operation side of it. How do you modernize the operation? You use a bunch of SRE agents, Azure AI Foundry, Azure as the fulcrum to modernize this application, the operation side. And this is the stack of the Azure AI Foundry, right? Right from your VS Code, you can build models, deploy models, you can test models, you can deploy agents, build model agents, and also ensure that these models are operated in a responsible manner, right? So that's the complete Azure AI Foundry stack. If we have to break down into components, right, what are these? So I spoke about it. First and foremost of all of these, Copilot agent mode, right? It is an autonomous agent which detects the intention. I mean, 6 months back or 8 months back, we used to tell the developers, if you have to get the Copilot done something for you, be specific and ask those questions. While we still say that, now we can also say that agent modes are reading the developer's mind through the autonomous iteration, intent detection, right? Self-healing capabilities. So which means that if you are developing an application, and as part of the application, if the when the code is generated by Copilot, if the code has errors, it will automatically heal those errors, fix those errors, and keep moving on, right? That's the beauty of agent mode. GitHub Copilot for Azure helps you to bring the context from Azure. So if you want to know that, okay, which database is running in which resource group, okay, which storage account is running in which resource group, which location, all of these will be now made available by the GitHub Copilot for Azure. You want to find out that this particular resource group, what application is deployed, what is the endpoint of the application. GitHub Copilot for Azure helps you to do that. It also figures out the endpoint of the application, and at the same time it will tell you that whether this application is healthy or not, right? We also have the AI tools extension pack, which you had actually seen in the demo, which is where this is a component that we have. Now, if you want to develop an application, AI application using models, create an agent, okay, test those agents, integrate the agents with MCP server, the AI toolkits extension on VS Code help you to integrate those models, those extensions with your application, right? MCP servers. How many of you are aware of MCP servers here? Cool, right? Quite a few places. How many of you are aware of the MCP servers that are available certified by Microsoft? Because see, typically, if you have seen MCP servers, while you use MCP servers, there is a risk associated with MCP servers, probably which you are aware of, right? So now, Microsoft and GitHub has come up with those MCP servers, which typically are a secured way to communicate. It also comes with a registry of MCP servers. We'll soon publish the registry of MCP servers through which you can see the available MCP servers which are certified, which are also supported by Microsoft and GitHub, right? But yes, that's one of the crucial, I mean, with Anthropic releasing MCP protocol, model context protocol last November, right? We have seen significant improvements around MCP server. If you want to generate a design, generate a code from a design, from Figma design, yes, MCP server can help you to generate a code from a Figma design, right? If you want to test an application using Playwright, MCP server will help you to test the application using a Playwright, right? If you want to connect to a database while you are and you want to generate a model, a database diagram or an ER model, your MCP server will help you to connect to a database, get the context, and then you can generate a model as such. So all these are available as part of MCP servers. Coding agent, which you have actually seen in the previous demo. Now, this particular coding agent, right, you will see that when we run this coding agent, if you run multiple coding agents, multiple testing agents, where will you monitor those, right? So we have also come up with a control plane. In this particular control plane, you can trigger a coding agent, you can trigger an agent, you can run an agent, and you can also monitor the key parameters of those agents. Now, this is a bit futuristic. We do have a roadmap around this, but as of today also we have a control plane available. It's a single plane dashboard where you can see how many agents have run, what are the key metrics of the agent, what are the success rate of those agents. That's also currently being made available. And last but not the least, before I get into interesting topic, this is GitHub Copilot app modernization for Java, for .NET, with respect to the AI agents that we are talking about, which means that if you want to build them, so see, typically we have seen 26% of organizations are still on Java 7. Another 15% of organizations are still on Java 8. They don't have the skill sets to analyze Java 7 and Java 8 applications, right? How do you modernize those applications? I'm talking about large enterprises, large BFSI enterprises, large enterprises who are running Java 7 and Java 8 applications, who are running .NET Framework 3.x, which is probably dead and buried, right? They are also running those. So that's where your modernization agents will help you to migrate and modernize those applications, not just modernize to a later version of Java. If you want to migrate those applications to Azure, it can also help to assess those applications, bring the cloud elements, modernize to a cloud native features, and modernize the applications as well. So that's typically the modernization agent. Now, before getting, I'll just want to understand quickly from you, how many of you have heard about Spark, GitHub Spark? I'm wondering, have you also been part of the morning sessions by any chance by Karan? Ah, see, that's where I'm saying, how do you know about GitHub Spark, right? So, yeah, so, yes, so this will be a refresher for you as well. So now, typically, okay, sorry, before GitHub Spark SRE agent, this SRE agent will help you to monitor the application. We spoke about it. Now, GitHub Spark, right? Now, if you actually want to generate an application, okay, deploy an application, build an application, and without figuring out where to deploy, share that application, right? So I am a Bengali, settled in Bangalore for the last 17 years. I have a Durga Puja which I run, and in the last 10 years, I was thinking that how should I create this website for my event, where every year I will publish the event and all of these, right? So that's where, so this year I took a bit different path. I used Spark to create a landing page of my Durga Puja, okay, which is a community puja, and at the same time trying to add, let's say, payment methods, trying to add payment gateways. All of these are now can be made available thanks to Spark, by the way, right? With Spark, these are now available. Let's see a demo. I think the sound is not coming. Let's see if the sound. Which is fine, so it's okay. So typically, let me go back and give you a live demo of this Spark, right? So how does it work? Let me not even go in here. So what I have done is, this is my Spark interface, right? Now, first and foremost, I was told that I want to create a web app that recommends movies based on mood, genre, past favorites, and also includes rating, brief description. I mean, we are all from, see, this is the beauty of, now it is okay. I should extend this, okay, hold on. Let me try to extend this rather than, or mirroring this rather than extending this. Otherwise, I'll have to actually figure out. Okay, that's fine. At least. Okay. So now what you see here is, I'm a huge Bollywood fan. I want to create a web app that basically recommends the movies based on mood, genre, and past favorites, right? Now this includes rating. Now you will see after that there is a bunch of instruction, right? Now where have I gotten this instruction? I actually gotten this instruction again from my Copilot. I have asked Copilot, can you generate the instructions for me, right? I think it's here, right? Can you generate the instruction for me? I want to create a movie application. If you think that, okay, how do I give more information to Spark? Okay, so you don't have to write anything. You ask GitHub Copilot, generate me the instructions for creating an application in the markdown format. Copilot will generate the instruction for you. Now you have a healthy instruction list now which you can take it to your Copilot, right? So now what you do is, I'll go to Spark again and hit this enter, and I hope we have enough internet to actually run this. Okay. So now it will take some time, right? But what you see that this is the planning agent. This is what we call as the brainstorming agent, right? It is thinking and it is figuring out that what it should do now, right? Now I can also say that, can you integrate with a TMDB or IMDB, the OpenAPI, Movies OpenAI database with the keys and all? It will do that. Now, the interesting thing is, you can now take this and go for a coffee. I think some people are anyways going for a coffee because it will take some time. Yeah, but this is where you will see the beauty of Spark. So you don't have to actually figure out the application technology stack. It will, if you can say it's fine, otherwise it will take probably whatever it is. I have mentioned that use TypeScript to generate this application. So it will use TypeScript to generate the application, connect to the movie database, right? All of these will typically take its own time, and it will also deploy. You can also later publish this application. If you see there is a publish button right there, you can publish this application to all the GitHub users and ensure that this particular application is. So now we have a Spark runtime on the back end. Now this Spark runtime actually ensures that your applications are healthy. There is an agent which actually, SRE agent, which actually runs behind it to automatically fix this issue. While you're generating the Spark application, if it actually sees that there is an error, it will automatically fix those errors, autonomously ensure that this application is up and running, right? So now that's something that you see. I will try to find out on similar application and see whether how the application gets typically generated, right? Let me try to find a similar application. Ding, 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 ding. So now, we actually go to Spark. Let me see if any applications which I can show you. Yeah, so I have an application called Logistics Team Manager, which I have actually created some time back. Okay, while it gets created, this is typically, I have asked Copilot that create a timesheet application for a small enterprise with 200 employees for a small or medium enterprise, right? So it has actually created so what it has done is it's not just created the application. This is my timesheet. It has also given the code to me, right? You can you can ask Copilot or you can ask GitHub to create a code repository and push the code there. It is not a low-code platform which typically will give you a UI. It will not give you the code. It will also give you the code. You can actually take the code and push it in a code repository as well, right? Now, importantly, this has generated this particular timesheet. What you want to do is, if you want to actually publish the application, you click on publish, right? And by the time it will tell you, okay, it will typically deploy the application in a production grade environment, and also tell you that, okay, fine, do you want to publish it to a specific set of people, or do you want to publish to everybody, right? It will definitely want to do that as well, and you will publish the application. Well, this is taking time, right? Yeah. So that's what we have, what we call as Spark. So this obviously it will taking a bit more time, because thanks to the power of internet and also to the difficult tasks that I have given to Spark, right? So while this gets generated, I wanted to also cover the last couple of slides. So how do you want to take this forward, right? If you want to really enhance these applications, right? Starting right, ensuring that you are aware of the capabilities of Copilot, right? Build the right governance, the right security, right? Guardrails is very important, right? So you might not want to just start building or deploying agents. You might also want to track those agents. Where do you track those agents? That particular guardrail, self-service environments, build all of those. These are the practices that any organization should follow while building and deploying agents at a large scale. By 2027, we will see 90% of the organizations actually deployed agents in production, right? That's the stats that are given by McKinsey, and it will happen. So that's where this whole guardrails, monitoring of these agents, orchestration of these agents is very important for all of you. Microsoft has this templates, which includes developing agents, developing applications, deploying agents with the right infrastructure, the right guardrails, using the right security standards, the protocols, everything, right? So if you see that you have scenarios where you want to build agents, okay, reach out to Microsoft, reach out to your Microsoft technical counterpart who will help you to guide you how to build agents, how to deploy agents, and at the same time how to scale agents, right? That's pretty much from my end. Thanks for this. Any questions that you want to? Yes. I think, yeah, go ahead. Is there a mic? I think there is a mic here. Why don't you give this so that everybody hears? Yeah. Yeah. If you could please tell your name and.
Yeah. Like I am Ayush Kumar Bhardwaj. I am like 3 years into this industry of IT, right from the college.
Mm-hmm.
My question is like we just saw that GitHub like Spark, it deploys the code and everything. So in the end, it will give you a URL that can be opened from open internet, or it's
Yes.
like.
It will give a URL. You can open the URL from anywhere. You just need a GitHub ID, right? So for example, if you open a URL, you will probably have to register using Google Gmail ID or another ID, right? This is a GitHub ID that you need to access the application.
Okay, so
you can register using GitHub ID.
Okay, so a GitHub ID is necessary. Like, let's suppose I have that with me now. Now it is a full-fledged application that I have built. Now I want to make it available for people. Like I want to use my own, let's say Active Directory. I have an Active Directory. I want to link it through that. So rather than only using GitHub, so all those capacities are there.
Yes.
Like we can take
so
out
you're right. So like Arun was mentioning, right? The only language that will be relevant for everybody is English. So on English you can type. You can also use. I mean, I have also in my last demo I have also shown Kannada. I had learned one statement of Kannada and I asked Copilot in Kannada and it responded. But yes, it will also ensure that if you ask that, okay, I want to integrate with Azure AD. With the right application ID, you need to give the secrets, application ID and all. It will also build the code to integrate with Azure AD as well.
Okay.
That is also possible. Yeah, I think there is another question.
I'm Karthikeyan from Chochi Systems, and we are having the repository with Azure DevOps, and we are trying to enable the code review capability using GitHub Copilot. And we got to know that only security vulnerability is being addressed now. And do they have any plan to introduce with other capabilities with code review?
Valid question. There are two answers to this. If I give a very politically right answer, Azure DevOps does not have, as of today, any AI capabilities because the direction of Microsoft is on GitHub, right? So all the AI capabilities, review capabilities are with GitHub. Having said, we have built integration with Copilot. That's what I was showing, the MCP server, right? So Microsoft has actually developed Azure DevOps MCP server, which you can integrate with GitHub Copilot and get likewise AI capabilities of reviewing the code. Okay, there is another feature which we have introduced as early as yesterday. We are now indexing, we can use Copilot and index remote ADO repositories so that your Copilot works more efficiently on ADO code base, which you are running on local as such, right? We don't have a similar coding agent, what you saw in GitHub, we don't have that. That's an opportunity for our partners to build that as well. But from a Microsoft direction, all of the AI capabilities which are supported at a scale are being developed on github.com. But we are supporting our customers, our partners with the likes of integration with ADO. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for the wonderful session. So my name is Mirza, I'm from Hexaware.
Okay.
So my question is, firstly, what do you see, what is the future of open source contribution when it comes to Spark? So how do you see it, like, are you saying like projection, like, it's going to get better in open source? And yeah, once you
So you are referring to Spark, right?
Yeah.
Spark right now, it's a good question. I'll tell you, we are slowly open sourcing a lot. If you know that, or if you have seen last build announcement by Satya in the month of May, Visual Studio Code along with GitHub Copilot is now open sourced, which means GitHub Copilot chat is now open sourced for anybody to take it forward and then build the respective capabilities, right? What we typically charge for is the API, GitHub Copilot API, which is running in our Azure infrastructure, right? Likewise, Spark will right now Spark is not available for enterprise, right? Spark is only available for individual users. If you are seeing me running, because it is available for my individual user, it is not available for enterprise. So the testing is happening. We'll nominate customers for testing, and once it is a bit stabilized, we'll see roadmaps around open sourcing it as well, right? Having said, we don't have any roadmap as of now to open source Spark. We will soon see that as and when we start rolling up to the enterprise.
So one more question, like as an SRE, like we talked about a lot of agents SRE, right? So right now we can tell a person like this is the service that we are going on, but how are you going to see the future of agentic AI? Suppose the service goes down, so how are you going to blame that? Because there's nobody actually to tell that, right?
Yeah, and that's where we are actually focusing much on the SRE capabilities. We have built an SRE agent which typically works on some of the critical workloads, AKS workloads, Azure Red Hat OpenShift workloads, container apps. They're still very resident on Azure. So there are 3 modes for this SRE agent. One is read-only mode, which will figure out that there is an issue. It will respond. It will send a notification, right? Second is an autonomous mode, which is what you had seen. So if a cluster goes down, or if an application goes down, and if the pod is crashing, let's say in Kubernetes world, if the pod is crashing, right? It will autonomously bring the pod down, take the pod to a different state, push a request to Copilot on coding agent on github.com to fix it, and then it will typically do. So now that's the current state. Now what we are looking at SRE agent to also autonomously look at applications which are SaaS. Let's say if I'm running at Azure load testing, if I'm running a Lambda test, which is a SaaS, right? Can I use SRE agent? That is a roadmap for us to see how the managed SaaS, not the public SaaS, how it can expand to the managed SaaS, the managed even a bit of a PaaS, which is we can say managed SaaS, which is the likes of Azure Red Hat OpenShift. That's our roadmap. But yes, we are also looking at integrating SRE agents via MCP servers. So we'll soon expose MCP servers for those SRE agents, and now anybody can integrate with these SRE agents and kind of build their own integration. That is something that we'll also see.
Thank you so much for the session. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Arvind, and I have a question on your competitors. So how do you differentiate GitHub Spark from existing technologies like, let's say, Lovable or even Cursor? That is one, specifically in terms of something like rate limits. And the other one that I wanted to ask is, will the context be maintained between like GitHub Spark and GitHub Copilot? So if I am developing some sort of application on Spark, can I transfer the same context to Copilot, which is probably not utilizing the same Spark context, but can that be transferred?
Great question. I think I love these questions. I'll give an analogy, right? Your first question, how do I compare with cursors of the world, right? All of you love cricket, right? So, or might have followed cricket, right? In some form or the other, right? Let's take Virat Kohli as an example and take Babar Azam as an example, right? So, both are great players, right? But at the end of the day, will you put your money on Babar Azam, who is backed by PCB, or on Virat Kohli, who is backed by BCCI, right? That's exactly the large. So GitHub Copilot or Spark has a large ecosystem of integration, right? You might heard that, okay, Spark, Cursor or Lovable has been doing great stuffs, generating code faster, right? 20 years back, we had seen software industries who had posted greater, faster results. The faster they grew, the faster they came down. The point here is, we have an ecosystem of products. We have an ecosystem which supports with all the partners. 664K extensions are supported on Visual Studio Code, which are integrated with GitHub, right? We are we are building integrations with most of the partners. So now to your question, yes, these integrations are enterprise, it's an enterprise scale, which means that as of today, it is not a product that can be leveraged and where you can say we are giving indemnity support as well, right? Which possibly we might want to check whether Lovable provides or Cursor provides or not, right? So these enterprise security, enterprise grade experiences that we provide, right? That is our strength when we work with our customer, because they're at the same time very satisfied that, okay, Microsoft GitHub is giving full support and fully responsible of the AI elements that are imbibed in the application. That's your first question, right? Having said, see, at the end, models are just a commodity, right? I mean, today you take OpenAI model, tomorrow you might take Claude model, then you will take a Gemini model, right? They're still a commodity, right? The experience comes in with respect to the user, with respect to the context. That brings in the second question. So what we have done is, there is a context sharing that we are planning. So if a developer works on one machine, can you share the context of that to a different developer, right? If you are running something on coding agent, which is run on a repository, can the whole context be shared? As of today, it is even GA'd yesterday or probably day before yesterday. If you are running coding agents, based on the output, it will automatically generate those instructions and store those instructions in a .github folder within GitHub. Now, the developer can take the same context and the same instructions and redo the same activity, right? So that's the capability that we have introduced as of yesterday, right? Having said, we are also looking at how do you share the context between different developers. We will soon get to hear about this, that how GitHub and Microsoft has been sharing the context. If your developer is running one machine VS Code, another developer is running another machine on IntelliJ, another developer is running and another machine on Eclipse. By the way, GitHub and GitHub Copilot supports 10 plus IDs, right? That's where I was talking about the ecosystem support, right? Which you will not probably be seeing with the likes of Lovable or the likes of Cursor. Is that fine? No, that's a great question. I love this question. Yeah, you have a question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so just wanted to follow up on that. I've used Cursor, Lovable, every other coding ID agent out there. GitHub Copilot is something I landed back on. And thanks to that, I was able to ship to two of my apps that I was trying to build. I'm not a technical founder at all. I don't know how to code. Which brings me to a very challenging question I wanted to share. My name is Ankit. I work at Kalviam.
Okay.
We have been reimagining entry-level tech talent in India with lots of GCCs today, very quietly working on that. The challenging question is this. Now that you see, and you mentioned that GitHub Copilot used about 18% of AI to code, how do you see talent being a challenge for you going forward as software developers? And particularly how I want to place this question is, I don't know how to code. Neither I'm a software developer, neither I have a BTech degree. But I was able to ship because I could think critically and also architecturally and deploy that on AI. What does it mean for Microsoft going forward, where software development, possibly more on coding, would be basically more on critical thinking and system architectural thinking and deploying it using the help of AI? So if you had to build a team, let's say going forward 5 years later, how would you really pick people in the team, and could somebody like a non-technical person be a part of building future apps and solutions for Microsoft?
Absolutely. Great question. When we actually started, 5 years back when I started to see the resume of a job description, right? I could see that one person, it's the resume of a department, not a single person, right? So now, the point which I'm trying to address here is, jobs will not diminish. You see on LinkedIn, you go to Naukri, you will see more jobs are available, right? The kind of jobs have changed. Clerical jobs probably you will not see. You will see that jobs are relevant where people will start working with AI. I mean, I'll come to your question because I needed a bit of introduction here. 30 years back, when same computer came in, people said, okay, it will take the jobs away. It did not. It restructured and repurposed those jobs, right? Likewise with AI, it will restructure and repurpose those jobs, right? You will see as many LinkedIn posts on job vacancy availability, as many Naukri.com posts and all, right? Now, we will see more going forward. We will see agentic workflows in the next, I don't know about what will happen in the next 10 years. Forget about even Satya has said he doesn't know. Sundar Pichai has said he doesn't know what will happen in the next 10 years. But the next 2 or 3 years, again quoted by Satya and by Sundar, we'll see a lot of agentic workflows, right? The engineers, I will not say the developers, they are engineers, they could be testers, they could be developers. The full stack engineers will now be more relevant. We never had a full stack engineer. We had seen a lot of full stack engineer resumes, right? But it is very difficult to know a full stack of depth of knowledge across all these stacks, right? We will see that full stack engineer without actually knowing the technology part of it, right? Like Arun mentioned that, or Karpathy mentioned, right? Andre Karpathy mentioned that English will be the language. We need people who can work with AI, right? Your Scrum teams will be probably kind of repurposed. I have seen one of the customer had said that, okay, I have given their whole team was on off, they have gone to an offsite and only the BA was available and the BA was able to deliver a functionality using AI, right? So probably we'll see a change around the Scrum teams. Operating models might change, right? When I say the GSIs, the ITES organizations, they will see a lot more margins, but they will see a lot more cost cutting, they will see a lot more products get churned, and a lot of things will be happening on the quality of the code. A lot of customers are looking at reviving or reducing the technical debt using AI, right? So everybody has to work around AI. Your products will be shipped as it was shipped, right? But living with AI will be the next phase. That's what will happen.
Right. So just a quick follow-up on that. From your own vision perspective, if you had to build your own team, would you look at democratizing towards building your team who are also non-technical but understand how to use AI? Or would you prefer people who have been coders, now learning and understanding how to integrate with AI, and then having them on your next visionary team?
Yeah, so see both. I'll tell you why. Okay. You need to have a basic understanding of code in order to see. We are always saying human in the loop. We are not saying it is autopilot. It is copilot. Human is in the loop. Human is given an option to review the code and at the same time understand the code that is being generated. So we definitely need people who are also coders. What will change is these people will be knowing coding, but the boilerplate code will be reduced. See, as of today, AI is great in generating boilerplate code, right? Now, if you want to develop an API, let's say a API which will create a movie, right? 80% of the code is boilerplate only. That the AI will continue to write. The 20% will need a human intervention and how do human intervene? By understanding the programming structure. That will continue, right? Even Thomas had been saying that we will not see people have the need of, see, you can always generate an application in Spark. Okay, 90% of your work is not that. 90% of your work is supporting industry grade complex application. We are not there yet. Spark is not there yet, right? I can generate a Durga Puja application using Spark. I cannot maintain a banking application of ICICI Bank, iMobile application using Spark, right? So that skill will continue. Yeah. Yeah, I think any other questions I'll be happy to take outside. I think we are already running short. People will anyways take 3 hours to go home.